Hello everyone, welcome to Get My Class. Let's solve the question here. Says the root for any technique of plant breeding is dash. Option A genetic variation, option B mutation, option C tissue culture, option D hybridization. So let us understand the question. It says the root for, that means the main cause for any technique of plant breeding is dash. Okay, so what is it? Option A, B, C, D, we have to choose one. But before we choose, let us understand what is plant breeding. What do you mean by plant breeding? Okay. Plant breeding, as the name indicates, it is breeding between two parents or two plants so as to get a desired hybrid variety. Okay. Desired hybrid plant. So as to get, this is basically done for what? To get a desired hybrid plant. Now, what do you mean by hybrid plant? Hybrid plant is a plant which contain our desired characteristics where the parents, if you compare individually, they may not have all the characteristics what we are looking for in the hybrid plant. Okay, so that means individually the parents may contain some of the desired characteristics, whereas the hybrid plant will contain the desired characteristics of both the parents. Okay, suppose you have the plant A and this is plant B, and you have performed hybridization here and you get a hybrid variety C. This is hybrid variety. Now, this hybrid variety or hybrid plant will contain the characteristics of A as well as B. So what has happened to this? What has happened? There is a variation which has occurred. Okay. So the genes which were here and which were here, they are brought together. And this plant becomes varied, or it is different from the other two plants, the parental plant, because it has both the characteristics. And what has happened to this? There you can see that it has, or it contains genetic variation. Okay, variation means there is difference, right? So some change has occurred in the genetics or the genetic makeup, right? So earlier it consists of, here it consists of the genes of only plant A, here it consists of genes of only plant B, but in the hybrid variety, it consists of genes from A as well as B. So there is a variation which has been created in the genetic makeup. That is what is genetic variation. Okay, and because of this, what happens? We get plants with different characteristics, or you can say desired characteristics. And that is the basis, right? That is why we want to perform this hybridization, so as to get the hybrid variety with our desired characteristics. And how did we do that? By genetic variation. Okay, so we have not actually here, we are not talking only about recombinant technology or only about bringing mutation in the plant. No, not only about mutation in the plant. Mutation can be even a point mutation. Even if you change one nucleotide or one nitrogen base, it can be considered as mutation. But genetic variation can be anything. It can be group of genes, it can be inclusion of new chromosomes, or it can be cross exchanging of the genes. Anything can cause genetic variation. But here the hybridization technology itself is brought about or is done to bring about genetic variation. Okay, so option A says genetic variation. Yes, that is correct. Option B says mutation. As I said, mutation can be done even for a single nucleotide or single nitrogen base. So that will not bring a great variation for us. That may not bring desired characteristic for us. Hence, it is ruled out. Option C says tissue culture. So what do you mean by tissue culture? Tissue culture. Tissue culture is nothing but culturing of the plants. That is in vitro culturing of. It is in vitro culturing. Okay, where you can take the cells, you can culture it, you can use cells for culturing, you can use tissues, you can use buds, any part of the plant, okay, etc. Okay, so that is done in vitro culture, and here we are not thinking about the breeding part. Here we are just multiplying the number of cells, okay, number of plants. So you will get many number of plants here, which can be considered as micropropagation. Micropropagation. Okay, it is not bringing about breeding here. Okay, we are not doing any breeding here. We are just culturing. Or even if you have a hybrid variety, that can be cultured to give more number of plants. That is what is called as micropropagation. Hence, it is good. Option D says hybridization. Hybridization is bringing two, as I said, bringing two two characteristics from different plants together and bringing about all the characters in one to get a hybrid variety. Okay, that is not the cause, that is the procedure. That itself is the process. But they're asking what? They're asking the root for any technique of plant breeding. So plant breeding, hybridization is a technique of plant breeding, but it is not the root cause. Okay, the root is genetic variation. See, you have to be very careful in choosing the answer because it might confuse you, but you have to look for the question. This is difficult level question, so you have to look for the question, understand the question, and then try to answer. Okay, so the root for any technique of plant breeding is nothing but genetic variation. Okay, so if you still have doubt, let me clarify this. It says hybridization. Why is hybridization done? So as to bring about genetic variation, right? So that is why option A is correct. So let us conclude the answer. So option A is the correct answer. I hope you understood. Thank you, everyone.